two of the bosses I worked for when I was an SHO for CT1 kind of have been role models since then. And I think probably from then I was like, that's what I want to do. And then since then I've kind of done everything else and nothing has kind of been as good. And I've got the pleasure now to go back and work for them as a senior reg, which will be good. I think patience. I think from a selfish point of view, seeing people at 6, 8 weeks who are delighted, back driving, back playing golf, who just thank you so much. From a selfish point of view, that is amazing. I think the nice thing about surgery and orthopedics in general is the team feel. You know, so many people, whether it's the clinic staff, whether you're in theatre, your colleagues, your bosses, you know, the secretaries. And for me, that's great. You know, spending loads of time with different people, you know, work hard, play hard. So I think it's very rewarding. I think on the whole, I've been lucky. My wife does joke I kind of land on my feet all the time. I think the geography in Yorkshire's quite tough. I worked out in Scarborough for a year, and that was a long commute. And I, you know, didn't have any children then, and now I've got a child. I can't imagine. I couldn't do that job now. You know, and I think about people going out there with a kid now. I couldn't have done that. You know, leaving at 6 in the morning, 5:30, not getting back. Just wouldn't have seen my son for the whole week. So I think that geography can be really difficult, and time spent away from family probably. Yeah, I think I was probably fortunate that was before I had my son. I think I'd have had to have a really honest conversation initially with the bosses there and then the TPD. I can't imagine. It's tricky, isn't it? I probably would have just gone and done the job. You know, it's probably what happens, isn't it? I think now I'm more senior. I'd say, look, I need a bit of flexibility around the job. So at least some days I can try and come home and, you know, pick my son up from nursery and see him. You know, and I think there is always flexibility there, and you just have to ask for it. And I think that would probably be just about manageable. So we'll see. I'll probably end up with a fellowship miles away, and then my wife will, you know, kill me anyway. I think the nice thing is it's becoming more common now. You know, and we've had a male trainee in South Yorkshire go less than full time. I have sometimes thought about it. I do so many other things outside my clinical job. My wife's gone down to 60%, loves it, and I have seriously thought about going down to 80%. So I think I'd say, you know, I'm very fortunate. I work in a deanery where you know you can do it, and I would say if it's what you want to do, just ask and do it. And you know, I think it's because it's becoming more commonplace, it is being accepted, and have a chat with the TPD about who you can go and work for, that you know that is flexible enough to work with a less than full time trainee. Yeah, I think the other caveat I always say to this is most consultants are only doing clinical work for 3.5 days a week. So there's absolutely no reason as a trainee that works less than full time they can't marry up, and you get everything out of the job you need to. Well, I mean, there's loads of papers out there saying teams are more productive with diverse teams. I think the real interest for me is the role modelling. As I said right at the start, yeah, for me, I've had a couple of really good role models, but there are lots of people like me that are easy for me to recognise as role models. Whereas for some of my female colleagues or some of my black and Asian minority colleagues, they might not have those people. And I think it's probably a bit harder to have someone that's a role model if you can't relate to them. So I think that side of it is probably the most important thing. And I think certainly we're seeing a lot more female trainees coming through the programme, but a lot of those female trainees will work in units where there are no female bosses yet. And I think that is really, really challenging. And, you know, I know it's changing slowly, but I hope that will get a lot better. And I feel sorry for people that don't have role models that, you know, that can help them through their career. You know, in Yorkshire, we have got quite a few hostels that do not have any female consultants yet. You know, I hope that changes fairly soon, but that's not ideal. Yeah, so I don't like conflict. So I would, I would rather just take the person aside and speak to them behind closed doors and say, look, you can't say that. That's inappropriate. This is why I think you should apologise. But I know the flaws with that is that everyone else in that room thinks that I've accepted what's just been said. So it's something I need to probably work on. But I think, like a lot of people, avoid conflict. And I find that an easier way to deal with it. But I know there's a lot of advocates for people just calling out bad behaviour. So probably need an element of both. I suspect that's common across the board. I suspect people avoid conflicts. You know, I don't know is the honest answer, but I can't believe it's a specialist thing just to orthopedics. I think we all inherently, a lot of people inherently avoid conflict, don't they? Which is why these behaviours carry on, because everyone's like, oh, that made me feel uncomfortable, and oh, they shouldn't have said that, but I just won't say anything. I'd say do it. I'd say I can introduce you to a whole host of people who are doing orthopedics from all different backgrounds, and it is changing rapidly. You know, I think we have got a cohort of senior surgeons that are, you know, nearly all white and male, but they're going to retire. We've got a new court coming through. Times are changing. It's an amazingly rewarding specialty. Do it.